Some intelligence operations feel like they're ripped straight out of a spy thriller. They're so clean, so unbelievably fast, they just don't seem real. Well, today, we're going to break down one of those, the ghost extraction of President Madero. 4 hours. That's it. That was the entire window they had, from the moment this thing got the green light to the second their target was secured and on a plane. In fact, the source material tells us the plane was already in the air while the team was still finalizing the last details of the plan. That isn't just fast, that's practically happening in real time. So, the real question here isn't if they did it, but how. How on earth did they pull off something so audacious, so flawlessly, deep inside a completely hostile environment? All right, so let's get into it. We're going to deconstruct this lightning-fast operation piece by piece. We're going to focus on that critical 4-hour window and see how every single minute was used to achieve what seemed impossible. Okay, first things first, you can't just extract a target if you can't get to them in the first place. The first massive hurdle was figuring out how to get a team into a fortified capital city and to do it completely, totally undetected. Their strategy was all about layers, designed to make them impossible to track. It kicked off with a high-altitude jump way outside the city to stay off the radar. From there, they switched vehicles not once, but twice. That's a classic counter-surveillance move to make sure no one's on your tail. And then came the final and trickiest part, navigating the city's checkpoints. And this is how they dealt with those checkpoints. This wasn't about fighting their way through. It was all about something called false clearances. That meant having meticulously prepared documents, the perfect call signs, but even more important than that was the timing. Hitting those security points at precisely the right moments, like when the guards were changing shifts. This was a victory for intelligence, not aggression. Okay, so they're in the city. That's a huge hurdle cleared. But now comes the part that's even harder. Breaching the target's secure residence. Getting inside the very building where President Madero was, and again, doing it without anyone ever knowing they were there. Now, you'd probably expect an operation like this to be all about brute force and speed, kicking down doors and moving fast. But their actual philosophy was the total opposite of that. It was all about access and precision. They chose to be quiet and methodical, which meant fewer wild variables and a much, much lower chance of things going catastrophically wrong. And here's exactly how they put that idea into practice. They didn't blow a hole in a wall, no. They used a service corridor that had been mapped out months in advance. They didn't smash the security systems, they bypassed to them during a pre-arranged loop, which probably means they had inside help. The result? They got all the way to the president's private rooms without a single alarm going off. As the source says, it was all precision and patience instead of speed. So, they've got the target. Mission accomplished, right? Not yet. Getting out is just as dangerous as getting in, maybe even more so. The exfiltration, the escape, had to be just as flawless. A really critical factor in their escape was just how good their intelligence was. There was absolutely no time wasted searching around. They knew exactly where President Madero would be. This took away the most unpredictable part of the mission and let them make contact and start their exit without any hesitation at all. I mean, look at this timeline. The exit was basically already staged before they even walked through the door. Within 5 minutes of making contact, they were on the move and using a completely different route to get out. 20 minutes after that, they were totally clear of the city. And just 35 minutes after that key moment, they were taking off from a secondary, low-profile airstrip. Just incredible. The wheels are up, the team and the target are gone. But the silence they left behind, well, that was about to be filled with a very, very loud political explosion. The operation itself was over, but you could say the real story was just getting started. And this is the detail that really seals just how perfect the operation was. It was so clean that the first official sign that something was wrong came long after the plane was safely over international waters. They really were ghosts. This quote just perfectly captures what happened next. In that total vacuum of information, rumors, and wild speculation, the story just took over immediately. The official, factual explanation, whenever it finally came, could never ever catch up to the narrative that was already out there running wild. So in the end, the tactical mission was a specific event, over and done in just a few hours. But its consequences, the political, the diplomatic, the historical consequences, were only just getting started. This one single, quiet action was the first domino to fall in a much larger and much longer chain of events. And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. For an operation that was designed from the ground up to be silent and invisible, its fallout was anything but. So it makes you wonder, right? When an event like this happens in the shadows, what truly defines it? The quiet, precise action itself? Or the loud, chaotic aftermath it creates?